Welcome everybody today to a session that we've been looking forward to for a very long time, to get some guidance and wisdom from our friends at Applied Wisdom, and we're so honored to be able to have Jim Morgan joining us today. Thank you for being here, Jim.
Thanks.
We also want to welcome Charlie Pappas, our distinguished board chair. Charlie, welcome. We're not new to this. We've been around for a long time, and we're in a phase of our organization where we are evolving, as is the landscape for National Service. So to paint a better picture of that, we are needed more than ever before in schools. We are exclusively serving in under-resourced schools and areas with a commitment and a mission to provide educational equity. I wanted to take a moment, because we have the experts in the room, to learn more about the work in Applied Wisdom and what we can hopefully gain from our time in session together. So I'm going to turn it over to Charlie.
So Jim was 3 decades CEO of Applied Materials. In addition, he advised 3 United States presidents on their technology council. And then on top of that, he's been one of the most influential nonprofit leaders in Silicon Valley for decades. It's my pleasure to welcome him here to help us grow our impact with CityYear Silicon Valley. So I know everyone's gone through the Applied Wisdom book, but I thought we'd start with just picking Jim's brain a little bit about some of the major principles and kind of his thoughts. So Jim, what's your observations when you look across your engagement with nonprofits? Where are the strengths and weaknesses that you've seen, and what kind of advice or input would you have specifically on the implementation side of things?
Make a decision, manage the consequences, and you're better off getting some momentum. So if you start thinking about your culture, and then think about your planning, and then think about your implementation, and those are 3 separate considerations that are serious to your success.
Pull back the curtain a little bit around this court sense that you have and how you are diagnosing in the moment the right approach. And do you have a framework that you're walking through in your head? What does it look like when you're starting to make a decision that's going to have organizational impacts? How are you interpreting it?
So I would look seriously at the driving force. There is a drive, 1 or 2, really that isolate the decision. And if you get the skill of, and you just develop it, it's not going to work out at the beginning, but don't give up. And you'll get that sense, and you can make, then you can make a decision. But then if you do the manage the consequences and have checkpoints and backup plans. It's okay to have a backup plan. All these things, stuff just doesn't work just because you want it to.
Earlier, Charlie, you brought up one of your organisms, 10% strategy, 90% execution. You said that nonprofits spend more than enough time in that strategy bucket, an outsized portion of it kind of going towards that passion. How do we make sure, kind of in your 3 sections, that we don't overspend time in culture and planning, but really push towards that implementation bucket?
I just have a bias towards towards action. I mean, sometimes you can try things. You don't have to jump in the quagmire your whole body. You may stick your toe in, quick, but do that quickly. And if something grabs it, then you better pull it out quick. But
what is one piece of advice that you would give to an organization like us that is essentially in a restart-up phase, when we're reestablishing norms and policy procedures?
Focus. And doesn't mean you have one thing, but you decide what you're going to do, who's responsible, and follow through. But then also have the discipline to do a review and set a time, when you think sometimes something ought to be reviewed in a week, sometimes something ought to be reviewed 3 months or, you know, whatever. But don't fail to do that and take action.
I think Jim had a really good point. He said, you know, make sure, you know, you guys don't start piling, adding more and more stuff, right? You need to decide what you stop.
Right. That's right. Really, I should have said that. That's a good point. Thanks, Wayne.
You like
Yeah.
Courage to Kill? I wrote that.
What's that?
Courage to Kill.
Yeah.
I wrote that.
Something I found really awesome is in the cultivating culture section. Breeder controls the temperature, you know, that they are going to be the ones that are setting the temperature in the room. They're going to be the ones setting the example. First, take care of your health and fitness. I think we in the nonprofit world get lost so frequently in the work that we forget to take care of ourselves, and then we suffer, and then we have burnout and everything. So I love just having like a concrete black and white reminder of take care of yourself.
Well, we, you know, when we were about bankrupt back in the late 70s and early 80s, we couldn't provide all these things that you hear about in Silicon Valley nowadays. And so what we did is we encouraged everybody to have comfortable shoes and to take walks. And of course, I walked quite a bit just to get around to different places to kind of what I call porpoise, kind of figure out what was going on.
Well, we are so grateful for how generous you've been with your
thanks.
time
It's great
today.
to be here.
On behalf of CityYear, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Just remember, incremental improvements, if you keep at them, make a big difference.
Yeah, that's great. Should you write that down? Thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. That's great. Yeah.